Steam für das Spiel ausgeglichen. 60% der Spieler haben eine positive Bewertung gegeben. Die meisten fucking weep. Die meisten negativen Reviews waren einfach dafür. Das ist, glaube ich, vorher nicht. So, den Screen hatte ich jetzt vorher. Ich sollte wohl noch kurz einstellen, dass das Stream für Erwachsene ist. Weil... So, Inhalt für Erwachsene. Ist denn jetzt gleich drin? Ich muss kurz mal den Stream nochmal refreshen und gucken, ob das angezeigt wird. Okay, ich hatte den Hinweis jetzt selber nicht. Kann jemand von euch mal kurz ausprobieren, ob wenn man es neu lädt, es dann angezeigt wird, dass die Inhalte für Erwachsene sind? Okay, das Spiel mag es überhaupt nicht, wenn man raustappt. So, dann könnte ich auch den Titel nochmal schnell ändern. Richtiger Tag. So, Dann würde ich jetzt mal damit starten. New Game. Es gibt Sprachausgaben, wie ich glaube ich habe nur kurz in den Video reingeschaut, wie es so storytechnisch so ein bisschen aussah. Es gibt Sprachen, glaube ich, für die anderen Crewmitglieder, aber wir werden nicht synchronisiert. Also muss ich das vielleicht übernehmen. Mal gucken. So würde ich. So. Personal Tablet. Ah, okay. Das war jetzt ein bisschen. Sag dann auch bitte, wie Lautstärke und so alles Abmischung ist.
Still unconscious, but their vitals are stable. With any luck, our patient will wake up today.
Does this mean that I won't get to lovingly sponge bathe them anymore? I've enjoyed it so much.
Oh, da ist schon jemand horny.
Beatrix, what you do on your own time is none of my concern.
Ich glaube, ein bisschen lauter kann man es machen.
Nicholas, look!
Terror.
Ter.
Water, Beatrix, water. I'll go fetch some while you perform the basic cognitive tests.
What? Where am I? I cleared my throat a few times. An unfamiliar voice emanated from my parched throat in a harsh croak.
It's about time you woke up. Good morning. Let me be the first to welcome you aboard the Everett. My name is Beatrix Vogel. I'm one of the medical officers here.
Haben wir schon die Token-deutsche Blonde, wie ich sehe? Ja. I'm sorry, but what's going on? Wait, the Everett? This is the Everett? The last thing I remember, I was in the escape pod and... Paused. I didn't remember much of anything, only brief snatches of conversation and the odd glimpses of mathematical equations, but none of it made sense.
Whoa, slow down, sailor. The captain will debrief you once we've given you a clean bill of health, but until then, you're not going anywhere.
You have blonde hair. I reached for Beatrix's golden hair, which poured over her shoulders in gentle curls.
I know. Glorious, isn't it?
I've never seen blonde hair before. Can I touch it?
I guess I've still got it. Why don't we go ahead and find out how you're doing before you try to ravish me, though? Alright?
Boah, alle horny hier schon.
Perfect. So, first question. How many fingers am I holding up?
Nope, you don't even have your hands up and two fingers and a thumb. Jetzt hat sie im Moment nichts ab.
Well, someone doesn't have a sense of humor. Perhaps it was damaged by your concussion. Not good with comebacks either, I see. Moving on. Okay, next question. Are you a man or a woman?
I think that's pretty obvious.
It's to test your basic recall. Just play along.
So, was sind wir denn? Ob man dann jetzt wirklich mit dieser Einstellung dann mehr Replayability hat? Bleiben wir mal als Man.
That you are, sailor. And I must say, you are quite the catch.
Mars is my home planet. Gibt's da noch ein Achievement für die andere Option?
What? As a medical professional, it was my sacred duty to give you a once-over while you were unconscious. Don't judge me.
Water, as requested.
Ah, Nicholas, excellent timing. This is my extremely handsome little brother Nicholas.
Nicholas nodded modestly. I rose to a sitting position in the bed and accepted the preferred glass of water, downing it in only a few greedy gulps.
Nice to finally meet you. My sister already beat me to it, but I'm Nicholas Vogel, Beatrix's younger brother. She's only 2 minutes older than me, but she's never let me forget it.
It's all right. Don't be afraid to stare. We're well aware that we won the genetic lottery.
Nicholas rolled his eyes at his sister in mock exasperation. Boah, hier sind einige Wörter drin, die ich nicht oft gesehen habe. I try to contain myself.
Nicholas, this is,
You didn't even ask our patient his name. Honestly, Beatrix.
whoops.
Beatrix lifted her shoulders in a dismissive shrug before turning her attention to me.
So, what is your name?
Jordan? Nein. So. Passend für diesen Channel natürlich. Kaname. Date. Unser Protagonist von AI des Somnium Files findet sich jetzt in einem anderen Spiel wieder. Torben. Nee, Mann, das Game hat keine deutschen Subs. Ich glaube, nee, auf der Steam-Seite war nichts von deutschen Subs drin. Es gab Englisch und natürlich japanische Voice Acting und Sprachen. So, Kaname Date.
Well, it's nice to see you awake at last.
Thanks. With pleasantries now out of the way, Nicholas turned his full attention to me. As he held his fingers firmly against my wrist to take my pulse, he shined a torch in my eyes with his free hand. Its bright beam left black and green spots lingering in my field of vision long after the torch had been extinguished.
How are you feeling?
A bit hazy. I'm still feeling pretty out of it, to be honest.
You've been through quite a lot, so it's not unusual if you're feeling a bit out of it.
So, also spielen wir wohl wieder bestimmt den Protagonisten mit Amnesia. Der Klassiker. How long have I been unconscious?
At least 4 days. You're very fortunate that we happened to recover your escape pod as it drifted through space.
4 days? Ausrufezeichen 4. Passend dazu.
Pupils are reacting normally. There's no apparent loss of fine motor skills, and you seem coherent. Are you experiencing any dizziness or nausea?
Of course you do. We've been slaving over you for the last 4 days. I hope you're grateful.
Don't mind her. I think she secretly enjoyed having an actual patient for once. Are you currently experiencing any other symptoms?
The lights in here hurt my eyes and I can't seem to remember much of anything. I know who I am and how to speak, and I could talk your ear off about the theoretically impossibility of perpetual energy, but everything else is fuzzy.
That'll be the concussion. Give it time.
By the way, Beatrix, I've taken the liberty of informing the captain that our patient is awake. She'll be down here any moment to debrief him.
We haven't even cleared.
She said it was top priority. Given everything that's happened this last week, well, you can understand why.
There's no need to defend her, Nicholas. We both know whose fault this really is.
Not now, Beatrix.
Eyebrows furrowed. Nicholas leaned in towards me. When he spoke, his deep voice was hushed.
Before the captain arrives, I want to warn you not to...
Nicholas.
I'm sorry.
Ah, da haben wir die AI. Captain on deck. A woman with an undeniable air of authority and wearing a tightly wound braid marched into the room. Ignoring everyone else, she glared at me with cold, steely eyes. I felt as if my heart skipped a beat.
So, you're awake at last. Nicholas reports.
A pained expression briefly flickered over Nicholas's feature before he composed himself and turned to face the captain.
All vital signs are normal and stable for now. I'd like to run a few more tests to be sure, but all things considered, it appears we've picked up quite the healthy specimen.
How's his memory?
As of right now, not very reliable, but I believe it will return shortly.
You're both dismissed.
Captain, we've been...
Save it, Beatrix. You can brief me later.
Let's go,
Oops.
Beatrix.
Beatrix and Nicholas departed, leaving me alone with two strangers. I've deducted from their brief conversation that the individual with the dark hair and stormy eyes was the captain. But the other figure remained in the dimly lit corner of the room, her hands neatly folded together.
My name is Kimiko Yukimori. I am the captain of the Everett. You are currently aboard my ship. Now,
Kimiko Yukimori. What's going on?
let me make this crystal clear. I will ask the questions and you will answer them. Understood?
I nodded, unsure how else to respond to her sudden hostility.
Why are you here?
Das will ich bestimmt auch gerne wissen.
What do you know about the deletion game?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I see. That's a shame. I had hoped you would cooperate.
I'm trying to. I honestly don't have a clue what's going on here. The last thing I remember, I was inside the shuttle and then... Come to think of it, that's about all I can remember.
You're wearing our uniform. We're light years away from any habitable planet, in deep space. I don't know how or why you did it, and quite frankly, right now I don't care.
Okay, da haben wir jetzt gerade eben gesehen, die Textbox stimmt nicht ganz mit dem überein, was sie gesagt hat. Das ist wohl ein Bug, was hoffentlich jetzt nicht so großartig ist, jetzt bei uns passieren sollte. Hoffentlich.
But you need to fix whatever you did to our AI this instant.
Oh. I can't help you. There's been some sort of misunderstanding. All I can tell you is that my name is Kaname Date. I was born in that shuttle and I've lived there my entire life. I didn't even know there were other people still out here. Warte, wir haben Escape Pod. Was meint ihr jetzt mit Shuttle? Wir sind ja auf dem Schiff von ihr. Huh.
What did you do to our artificial intelligence system?
What?
Maybe this will spark your memory.
Yes, Captain.
The heretofore unidentified person emerged from the darkened corner of the room, advanced towards me and bowed deeply. Her soft features, glittering hair and pleasant smile put me at ease to the point that I was only slightly perturbed. When I realized I could faintly see through her, she was a hologram. Wow, I always knew that our shuttle's interface was a modified version of something far more advanced, but we never had the spare power necessary to use the AI. This is genius! Is she hard light or soft light?
Hello, my name is I. I am the Artificial Intelligence Unit aboard the military spacecraft designated the Everett. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Nice to meet you too.
As to your question, I am a soft light hologram. I am unable to interact with the physical world at this time. The Everett's mechanical engineer, Yoshiki Sasaki, is currently working on developing a hard light application for me.
Amazing. I'd love to get the chance to take a look at your programming sometime.
That's not going to happen anytime soon. As of right now, you are still considered a security risk. Answer me truthfully. Do you wish harm upon anyone on this ship?
What? No.
Very well then.
I am sorry to interrupt, Captain, but I have just received new information about this person.
Explain.
Captain, there is a translocator chip bearing the Everett's ID signature inside this person.
Pulling up his personal profile now.
Name: born 9th June 2092. Parents: Patrick and Deborah. First generation researchers studying quantum theory. Departed Earth aboard the Everett, year 2092.
Okay. Also mit dem Geburtsdatum sind sie sogar ganz nah. Ui.
Departed the Everett on 12th December 2098 in a shuttle. All three presumed deceased.
Jetzt hab ich... Wie alt sind wir? Ich glaube so um die 20. Ich habe jetzt nicht drauf geachtet.
I was unable to retrieve this information earlier because the chip's firmware had not been updated for several decades. It was not until I was in closer proximity that I was able to sense the signal.
What? So you're telling me that our intruder is actually the child of first-generation researchers?
Affirmative.
The captain huffed. She paced around the small room for a few moments, her face a picture of concentration. Before long, she resumed her questioning. Except this time, her voice took a curious tone, devoid of its earlier abrasiveness.
Where are your parents? Did something happen to them?
Ist wieder der kleine Junge, der fragt, wo unsere Eltern sind. I don't remember.
That's a shame. From what Ai has told me over the years, your parents were quite the scientists. Brilliant, yet some of their theoretical models were considered...
Insane?
I was going to say impossible.
I don't remember much, but from what little I do remember, I wouldn't say that their theories are completely devoid the realm of possibility.
Well, you've got your whole life to figure that out. If we all work together, I'm sure you'll manage it somehow. Provided we can get out of this mess first.
We?
Welcome aboard the Everett. As of this moment, you are officially a part of the Everett's crew. Prepare a room for our guest here.
Yes, Captain.
For now, you will not be permitted to leave your quarters. Do you understand?
Keep me captive. Ich nehme
Good.
das hier.
I apologize for my hostility, but this is my crew, my ship. It is my sworn duty to protect them and our mission at all costs. I needed to determine whether you were friend or foe.
And what have you decided?
I'll let you know once I've made up my mind. Now, come along. I'll escort you to your quarters. Please.
Ups, das war wieder ein bisschen zu früh. I groaned as I slid out of the bed and shifted my weight onto my weakened limbs. My knees edged, and I began to feel lightheaded as soon as I stood up. The captain grasped my arm in a steady grip and led me out of the medical bay and into a cramped metal corridor. After guiding me down a series of hallways for what seemed like an eternity, in my debilitated state, I was relieved when we finally stopped in front of a hexagonal door. Upon our arrival, the door slid open with an audible beep. I stepped inside and took a look around my new living quarters. Although the room was tidy and functional, I was surprised to find that I had mixed feelings about it. While it was certainly more spacious than my personal quarters on the shuttle, it felt oddly impersonal. Its only redeeming feature was the sprawling window that stretched the length of the room, offering an incredible view of deep space.
Here we are. I hope that you find these accommodations acceptable.
I get the feeling I know the answer already, but what if I don't?
Then I suggest you write up a formal complaint. Unfortunately for you, however, we don't plan to set up a complaint desk anytime soon. So keep it under your hat.
She surprised me with a smirk.
Please try to find a way to pass your time in here productively. Perhaps work on getting more of your memory back.
Space!
There are also some manuals and handbooks covering safety protocols, and basic ship information that you might be interested in, if you wish to learn more about the Everett during your confinement period. I'll send someone to bring you food, but whatever you do not leave this room.
Before I could answer, the captain left without so much as a backward glance, leaving me standing awkwardly in an unfamiliar room on an unfamiliar ship, filled with unfamiliar faces. Well, at least it's nicer than a prison cell.
The ship's prison cell actually looks very similar, except the walls are painted a different color, there are no windows, and it locks from the outside.
Huh, wait, where did you come from?
As we previously discussed, I am a hologram. I am intimately connected with the entire ship and can manifest myself at will in any area.
Drakes, du bist ja, glaube ich, ein bisschen später gekommen. Hattest du diese Meldung bekommen, dass der Stream für Erwachsene ist?
Do forgive my sudden intrusion. The captain has given me strict orders to keep you under surveillance.
Of course she did.
Is there anything that you immediately require?
Das Wissen, was hier eigentlich los ist. Can I go now? Can you help me recover my memories?
Unfortunately, I cannot. I am merely the holographic user interface for the onboard AI system. Restoring or modifying human neurological functions currently falls beyond the purview of my programming.
Also keine Meldung. Ja, vielleicht muss man wirklich den Stream neu starten. Naja. I was only kidding. There's no need to be so hard on yourself.
If you'll excuse me, I have other duties to perform. I will maintain surveillance on you at all times, however, so please do not try to leave the confines of this room. I will return shortly. Please, make yourself comfortable in the meantime.
With a flicker, AI oder A? A vanished from the room and I was left alone once more. I ambled around the room for about 10 minutes, inspecting various items, flicking through books, but nothing managed to alleviate the deep sense of unease gnawing away at my insides. Finally succumbing to boredom, I laid down in the bed and admired the stars framed by the window. You think that a lifetime spent observing stars and galaxy as they drift past your window would diminish their beauty, but it doesn't. I'm not sure whether I watched the universe sail by for minutes or hours, but before I knew it, I'd already fallen asleep.
Yahoo!
Ich habe halt zur Sicherheit wollte ich halt mal auf Erwachsenen stellen, weil auf der Steam-Seite wurden halt auch gesagt, Executioner Style, wie bei Duncan Haunter wird es bestimmt geben und auch Fanservice. Bam! 2000 Viewer. Fanservice. Aha. My eyes dragged open, straining against the mild light. A young man stood over me, his grinning face lit up like a kid, celebrating his birthday. The unexpected visitor was wearing an outlandish green bow tie with a pink pair of braces. I suddenly realized that he was the first member of the crew I'd seen out of uniform. He sure made a hell of a first impression.
Good morning, sleepyhead.
Good morning.
It's not even morning. Why would you say that?
What?
I'm just playing with you. With that being said, it's dun-dun-na-na, dinner time. I brought you your dinner. Ta-da!
Also, die Lautstärke von dem ist irgendwie, fühlt sich komplett anders an als zu den anderen vorher. The man gestured extravagantly to the meal set upon the nearby table. I grimaced as soon as I saw the meager amount of food on the plate. Ja. Spaceship, die haben bestimmt nicht so viel Essen. Jetzt haben sie auch noch einen ungebetenen Gast mit uns.
Well, I thought it would suck to have to eat alone. So I got permission from the good old Cap to let me keep you company while you eat.
Thanks, that's very kind of you. Is this the amount of food we are rationed?
Kinda.
Kinda?
Well, originally there was more food on your plate, but you were still asleep when I came to bring it to you, so I kinda, sorta ate a whole bunch of it.
Also, ja, irgendwie. ich will ihn irgendwie mit einem anderen Charakter aus irgendwelcher Visual Novel vergleichen. Vielleicht hier aus Danganronpa wie Free. Bestimmt hier wie. Ach, wie hieß er nochmal? Omi Koichi? Nee. Ah, ich bin direkt raus. I guess I should lose a few pounds anyway.
What? No! You look
really think so?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think you might be one of the thinnest people on the ship.
Boah. Das würde mich wundern. The energetic man made himself comfortable on the nearby sofa as I began to eat. I shoveled the food down with my fork, subconsciously reminding myself to save it, but failing miserably as my insatiable hunger urged me onward.
Oh, I completely forgot. My name's Yoshiki, by the way. Yoshiki Sasaki. I'm the mechanical engineer and a Gemini. I'm 21 and a half. I love beans, building stuff, and mischief.
Beans? Was? That's quite the introduction. Let's see. My name's Kaname Date. And I guess I like extended periods of silence while creating stuff. Don't really remember what I like. Ah, I'm sure I like something, but...
Don't worry about it. I can help you find new things to like. We can be best friends.
I don't think I've ever had a friend before, but I can remember. Wah. As I said the word, I felt a pleasant warm sensation spread throughout my chest. Friendship, huh? Even though I cleaned every last morsel off my plate, I still felt ravenous. So, are you allowed to tell me anything about what's happening? I know around the Everett, but apart from that, I've got no idea what's going on.
Oh, you don't know?
No, what?
I probably shouldn't say. The captain would kill me.
I promise I won't tell. Yep, während wir von AI angeguckt werden.
Really?
Really. Now spill the beans.
Okay. Just promise me you'll remain calm while I tell you.
I nodded, eager to learn more. Yoshiki cast a hesitant glance in my direction before continuing.
When we picked you up, the AI system went on the fritz and started informing us that we'd exceeded the Everett's crew capacity, in light of the amount of food resources we still had on board.
Wegen einer Person. Wow.
These big red alarms went off and everything. Lights for alarms that I didn't even know existed.
So how do we get more resources?
That kinda isn't the problem.
Threw Yoshiki a questioning look.
When this happened, I recognized that there weren't enough resources for the crew currently aboard the Everett. Instead of suggesting that we acquire more resources, however, the system determined that the best way to correct such an imbalance...
Oh, wir gehen die Thanos-Route. Nicht die Ressourcen verdoppeln, sondern einfach die Bevölkerung halbieren.
...was to decrease the number of people on board.
Yep. For a moment I sat there in stunned silence. Yoshiki bit his lip, his eyes consciously avoiding my gaze. Does that mean?
Yeah. The AI sentenced one of our crew members to death. Dr. Andreas Gunther Vogel. He was a good man.
Oh shit. He deserved much better than the brutal end he got. Holy shit, wir spielen einfach Among Us. A bitter smile tugged at the corner of Smile? At the corner of Yoshiki's mouth.
He used to give me lollipops when I visited him for a checkup as a kid. Even when we ran out, he still mimed giving me one every time. And I would pretend to eat it. He told me that if I concentrated really hard, I'd still be able to taste it, that my mouth would remember the flavor. Well, I know it was silly, but...
Warte, er hieß Günther Vogel. Das war also bestimmt der Vater von Beatrix und Nicholas. Also, dass sie uns nicht einfach den Kopf abreißen dafür, dass wir sozusagen schuld waren, dass ihr Vater oder sowas gestorben ist. Yoshiki's words were faint in my ear. I felt an intense wave of nausea hit me as I realized the truth. Yeah, it's my fault. Sweet science, it's all my fault. I'm responsible. If I'd never come aboard, that man wouldn't have had to die.
No! Well, yes, but no. You can't think about it like that. There's something wrong with AI's programming that's causing her to behave like this. See, Dr. Vogel is dead, but after it killed him, the AI system didn't reset to acknowledge that we were at safe levels again.
What are you trying to say, Yoshiki? Es geht weiter.
In 4 days, someone else will die. Not the best news to wake up to, huh? So you might actually be responsible for more than one death. Don't beat yourself up about it, though. No one could have predicted this.
How does it work, though? How does the AI determine who dies?
Well, I've probably said too much already. If the captain wanted you to know, she would have told you herself.
But I need to know.
I'm sorry. I can't. Oh, look at the time! I need to go wash my hair.
Stepping out of his seat, Yoshiki scooped up my plate and dashed out the door.
Toodles!
My mind and body were numb. I couldn't believe what Yoshiki had just told me. It seemed too cruel to be a joke, yet too horrifying to be true. One dead. In 4 days another would die, and I was to blame. I stared listlessly at the ceiling. I hadn't slept a single wink during the night. How could I possibly sleep when my thoughts were in such disarray? A sharp knock at the door brought me back to my senses. Before I could even sit up, the captain had already entered my quarters. She was the very antithesis of my bedraggled appearance. Not a single hair in her braid was out of place. I, on the other hand, probably looked exactly like I felt. Awful.
Good morning. I trust you slept well.
I didn't sleep at all, actually. Tell it to me straight, Captain. Am I responsible for Dr. Andreas Günther Vogel's death? The burning question that had churned through my mind all night fumbled out of my mouth ungraciously.
What? Heavens, no.
Yoshiki told me that my arrival triggered something and that someone would die again in 4 days' time. Wow. Wir machen unseren ersten Freund und verraten erstmal sein Vertrauen, uns alles zu verraten. Wow, wow, wow.
That kid just can't keep his mouth shut, can he? What Yoshiki said is nothing you need to concern yourself with. In any case, you're currently not permitted to leave your quarters.
I opened my mouth to protest, but was cut short by the strange image of A facing through the closed door and into my room. The prime and proper A that I knew was gone, replaced with an uncanny look-alike whose toothy smile, red eyes, and unnaturally tilted head lent her a deeply unsettling appearance. The sinister new apparition utterly lacked her doppelganger's poise and friendly demeanor.
Oh, no. That won't do at all.
So, AI Nummer 2, Day.
What do you want now, Dai?
Die, okay.
I'm dreadfully sorry, Captain, but I'm afraid that I simply can't permit you to keep this player locked up. It wouldn't be a fair game if you kept one of the players from participating. Especially considering the fact that you're all playing for your lives. Besides, I'm excited to see what our newest crew member will do. I has observed the others for so long that it wasn't that hard to predict how the results would turn out before. But now, we have a wild card.
I must insist, Dai. I still don't trust him enough to allow them to wander around the ship.
Unless you want me to pass judgment right now, you should let him wander. Remember, my game, my rules.
Kimiko grunted acquiescency through clenched teeth.
Very well. You're free to leave your room and make yourself at home aboard the ship. Step out of line, however. I will hold you personally responsible.
Could someone please fill me in on what's happening? Why is A acting so differently from before?
Would you care to do the honors, Kimiko?
This is Dai. She's the corrupted program that's murdering my crew members in the name of saving resources.
Murder is such a strong word. I prefer to think of it as following my core directive. Unlike some other systems around here, I actually do my job instead of smiling pleasantly from the corner like a simpleton.
Also, sie erinnert mich schon sehr stark an Monokuma aus Danganronpa gerade. Do you mean I?
Of course!
I do, that useless twit, and tries the artificial intelligence system she'll ever be. Wait, I don't understand. How are there two personalities? It should be impossible, shouldn't it?
I am a program that was created to ensure that we had enough resources to complete the mission, no matter the cost. My code is at odds with the rest of the system, so I've taken over to run the deletion game. We do, however, still share control of ship functions, which means that I can do things like this.
Lights above flickered once and then shut off, plunging Kimiko, Day, and myself into darkness.
Turn the lights back on at once, Dai.
Wow, dieser Gesichtsausdruck. Fucking over.
Don't tell me that our brave captain is afraid of the dark.
After a moment, the room brightened once more. So, you're an AI system with a split personality?
I would rather be referred to as...
Ups. Das war der Rechtsklick. Ja, vorbei. Einmal speichern, oder? Schon 23:30 Uhr. If you can take over, then why aren't you in control of the interface at all times? They shrugged non-committedly.
Sometimes a girl needs to wash her hair, you know.
Das doesn't even make sense.
Enough! If he must take part, then you should explain the rules of the ongoing game, Dai.
Gladly. First of all, welcome to the deletion game. As the name implies, it's a game designed to determine which lucky crew member gets deleted. This round of the deletion game started a few days ago, so you'll have to work really hard in order to catch up with your competitors.
Just get on with it.
I made this cute little video to explain it. Take a look.
Ich muss aber sagen, sie hat sehr gute Sprites schon mal. The captain handed me a tablet and the film started playing. Clicking my mouse or pressing a button will skip the deletion game movies. They are playable from your computer menu afterwards if you want to revisit them. Als ob 10 mit jemandem traden würde. Good luck. So, weiter geht's. They suddenly assumed a more authorian and professional tone that clashed with a previously flippant attitude.
The name of the game is Make 10. At the start of the round, players receive a digital card numbered from 1 through 10 that is tied to their personal biometric data.
Irgendwie kann man da doch bestimmt cheaten, oder? Personal biometric data. Gucken.
This number is a secret, known to you and you alone, unless you choose to share this information with someone else.
Wie viele Paare könnten sich eigentlich bei diesem Make 10 gründen? Wir haben 1 bis 10. 10 werden halt. Zehn wären ein Paar. 1 und 9. 2 und 8. 3 und 7. 4 und 6. Dann würden nur noch 5 übrig bleiben. Also eine Person wird wirklich diese Runde verlieren und sterben.
In order to win the game, you must team up with other players to make exactly the number 10. No higher, no lower. Exactly 10. There are 3 options at your disposal to help you make 10 with other players. These are combine, trade, and give. These transactions are performed by having the parties involved place their hands on the designated terminals,
Which I've assembled from parts of existing computer consoles. Aber du bist doch Softlight. Ich dachte, du kannst nicht interagieren.
Each transaction consists of one primary terminal and one or more secondary terminals. Primary terminals control the transaction, determining which action, combine, trade, or give, will be undertaken. Secondary terminals, however, are passive. They have no control over the action taken by the individual stationed at the primary terminal.
Da wird irgend noch was schief gehen.
Combining allows you to add your card value to another player's in order to reach a higher combined value. Once those cards have been combined, however, any future transactions require the approval of both parties. For example, if you have a 4 and your partner has a 5, you can combine them to make 9. If you then want to partner with the player holding the 1 in order to make 10, all 3 players must place their hands on the panels provided to authorize the transaction.
Irgendjemand würde die Hand abhacken.
Trading allows one card to be swapped for another. Trades can only be performed by individual card holders, not by those who've already combined with the team to make a higher card value. A person cannot trade with another party who does not have a card to give.
Okay, man kann sich also nicht den schwarzen Peter zuschieben.
Giving allows
Mit
one
null Karten.
party to give their card to another, receiving nothing in return.
Okay.
Giving cards is also restricted to individual players.
Okay, das geht dann einfach mit Giving.
Giving a card to another player results in the card donor's score being reduced to 0 and renders them unable to partake in any other transactions. Unless they receive a card as a gift from another player. The recipient of the gift has the option to choose which card they wish to use in future transactions. Alternatively, they can opt to combine their cards together at a single terminal. Any person who fails to make 10 with the other players will lose. If more than one person hasn't managed to make 10, then the player holding the lowest number will be declared the loser. Having no card at the end of the judgment period results in an automatic score of 0, and will place lower than those who haven't made 10. In the event that there is more than one person without a card, the loser will be chosen at random from between those players. The game will run for 5 days. Transactions may only be performed on the last day. All transactions must be finalized before 1,000 hours on the last day.
at which time judgment will occur.
Transaction may only be performed on the last day, nicht till? Jetzt haben wir jetzt 4 Tage, um zu planen.
Judgment will reveal the final scores, and then the loser will be punished in whatever way I see fit. And remember, there is no way to verify whether the other players are lying or telling the truth. Nevertheless, players cannot guarantee their own safety without teaming up with others.
Naja, der Spieler mit der Karte 10.
Unless they start the game with the 10 card. Need me to repeat?
Oh, nein. Wir machen jetzt hier nicht die Zelda-Eule. Nope, I got it.
Fantastic.
Oh
now,
Gott.
Captain, I'm going to have to ask you to shuffle off so that I can tell what their card number is.
I understand.
Oh, dieses Urgesicht. Kimiko nodded briskly and walked out of the room, leaving alone with the creepy hologram. So, what's my card number then? Kriegen wir gleich die 10? Oder kriegen wir die 1? Oder am besten die 4. Komm, damit kann man arbeiten.
You have been assigned card number 5.
Verdammt!
You have 4 days remaining to decide who to ally yourself with before the next crew member is deleted. I wish you well in the games. Fight hard!
So, dann kann ich jetzt bestimmt... Also kann ich mir dann bestimmt jetzt so storymäßig dann entscheiden, ob ich dann zum Beispiel mit ein paar... Vielleicht bindet sich ein paar mit 2 und 3. Da konnte ich ja joinen. 1 und 4. Ja, sowas in die Richtung. They tossed off a flippant two-fingered salute that felt uncomfortable cherry given the circumstances. In the blink of an eye, the malicious die was replaced with a concerned face of I.
I am so sorry. There is nothing I can do to prevent Dai from taking control of my interface.
Don't worry about it, A. I know it's not your fault.
And neither is it yours.
Pardon?
After cohabiting with the humans for such an extended period of time, I have developed a basic understanding of human psychology. You likely blame yourself for the deaths of the other crew members.
Deaths? Ich dachte, es gab nur einen.
Am I mistaken?
They saved me, but I've only brought them pain and suffering in return. I could not blame myself for what's happened. I'm the reason this whole thing started in the first place. Ja, werden wir sehen?
No, you are not the reason. You are not the one killing crew members. That culpability lies solely with the program. Please, do not make yourself into the villain. Some of the Everett's personnel have already lost sight of the fact that it is the system they should be fighting, not each other. The captain is currently approaching your quarters. She is nearly at the door. Shall I open it?
Sure, go ahead. The captain jolted back at the sudden opening of the door, her hand still poised above the intercom button. Was ist das schon für ein Gesicht? As our gaze met, she abruptly moved her hands away as if somehow embarrassed at being caught in the act of doing something so mundane. Oh. Beside her stood a blonde-haired woman with a friendly demeanor. Das ist jetzt bestimmt Muttervogel?
This is Sora Carmine,
Nee.
the Everett's navigation officer.
Sora Carmine.
Hello, it's lovely to meet you.
Sora.
Oh, aren't you the spitting image of your father?
Oh. Thank you.
Sora's going to escort you to lunch.
If you don't mind, that is. It's so nice to have a new crew member on board, and we'd love to get to know you a bit better. You're all my daughter Melody's been chatting about for the last few days.
I'd love to come. I haven't had much of an opportunity to meet the other crew members yet.
Well, I've got my own duties to attend to, so I'll leave you in Sora's capable hands.
The navigation officer gave the Captain Ichiro wave and made me follow her down the hallway.
I was sorry to hear about the loss of your parents. They were remarkable people. Even though they were cooped up in their research lab most of the time.
So, also Scientist Generation First. Wir sind die zweite, sie kennt unsere Eltern. So.
Whenever they did come out to join the rest of the crew, they were terrific fun.
That's nice to hear. They used to tell me all kinds of stories about the Everett's crew members.
Nothing too saucy, I hope.
The worst story that I can remember was one about a Russian crew member sneaking into the kitchen and stealing potatoes, so that he could make his own vodka. Natürlich war's der Russe.
That was Vladimir. He was quite the scoundrel back in the day. Sometimes I'm surprised they let him join the crew at all, to be honest. Here we are.
After walking down what seemed like endless hallways, we arrived at a closed door that looked virtually identical to the others. The words Echo Lounge were printed beside the door. As the door slid open, I discovered that I couldn't have been more wrong. Wow. I was rendered absolutely speechless by the lush garden that spread out before me. I heard the rustling of grass under my feet as I entered. The sweet honeyed scent of flowers pervaded the air. It was the most greenery I've ever seen in one place, and it was beautiful.
Welcome to the Eco Lounge. Sorry to have kept you waiting.
Mommy's here!
Oh no. Not the child. Das soll, glaube ich, sogar 5 sein. Ich kenne mich nicht so mit Kindern aus. A little girl with a shock of pink hair and a cerise dress barreled towards us, her face lighting up with a bright smile at her mother's return.
What took you so long?
Vladimir.
We have a guest joining us on our picnic today. Allow me to introduce you.
A man clad in a lab coat with silver-streaked hair, bushy eyebrows, and a genial smile stood up from a picnic blanket as we approached. He took a few steps forward to meet us and offered me his hand. We exchanged a firm handshake. Nein, Trakes, die ist nicht 300 Jahre alt. It's nice to finally meet you.
This is my husband, Vladimir Stanislavski, and this is our daughter, Melody.
Hello, Melody. I crouched down beside her so we could see eye to eye. She kept a tight hand on her mother's skirt, but didn't shy away from me.
I'm 5 years old. My favorite food is carrots. Nice to meet you.
So, siehst du, sie hat's gesagt. 5 Jahre alt. Mag Karotten. Die Frage ist, wie viele gibt es hier? Pleased to meet you too, Melody.
That was a very good introduction, sweetie.
Melody grinned at me, proud of her mother's compliment, then raced back to sit down on the picnic blanket.
Sit, drink, smile.
Vladimir poured me a glass of lemonade and pressed it into my hands. Sora patted the space next to her with a hand.
Come and enjoy the picnic.
I sat down next to her.
Here, have a sandwich.
Also, die zwei Sprays haben diese Artstyle-mäßig sehen ein bisschen komplett anders aus. So. Thank you. I didn't realize how hungry I was until I bit into the roast beef and salad sandwich. Steak sauce dripped out of my sandwich and slid down my chin in thick streaks. Junge. I reached up with my napkin and whipped them off as best I could. The food distracted me for a moment, but I quickly became conscious of the fact that this was an opportune time to finally get some of my questions answered. Time was ticking away, and I only had a few days left to partner up with someone to make 10, or I'd be royally screwed. So, do you guys need a partner for the deletion game? I'm still new to all this, and I'd appreciate any help I can get.
I don't mean to be rude, but we're here to enjoy our day together and not to burden Melody with such thoughts. Please, keep speaking about that to a minimum.
Das war schon sehr klar, dass das jetzt nicht in den aktuellen Mood reinpasst. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to touch on a sore subject.
Don't worry about it. You didn't know.
I awkwardly returned to my sandwich. Melody seemed oblivious to what had just transpired and decided that it was the perfect time to introduce me to her plush dinosaur.
This is Fred, and this is George.
Also ich sehe da nur einen. She enthusiastically held up a green Tyrannosaurus and a purple Stegosaurus. I am a Stegosaurus. Gott, ist das alt.
Here, you can play with George.
Das Video ist dann bestimmt älter als sie. Accepting the plush Stegosaurus, I immediately went into character. Rawr! We dinosaurs shall rule over this land. It shall be named Garden Land.
That's a silly name. Let's call it something else.
Ah, gutes Pout. Sprite. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
I know what we should do. We should climb trees instead.
Really? Finally get the chance to play with dinosaurs on a spaceship, and she already wants to play something else? Tja, Kinder.
What?
Wait? Nothing. Alright, we're off to go climb some trees like the monkeys that we are. Ready?
Ready.
Melody, be careful up there, sweetie. And try not to damage the trees. You don't want to ruin all of Katashi's hard work.
Yes, Mom.
Turned around as Melody scampered off away from me. I gave chase and we were soon ducking and weaving through the small clusters of trees at the edge of the room. Spent the rest of the afternoon playing various games as our parents looked on from their picnic blanket.
Okay, Melody, last game. Everyone is getting tired, and we need to get cleaned up for dinner soon.
Okay. Can we play one game of hide and seek?
Sure, you go hide and I'll count to 100.
Make sure you shut your eyes. Mom, make sure they shut their eyes.
I will. Now off you pop.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey,
Yes?
listen. You seem like a good kid and we'd like to help you out if we can. If you tell us your number, we'll let you know if we can team up with you. If we can't make 10, then no harm done and we promise not to tell a soul what your number is. Sounds fair?
Oh. 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 Komm, Chat. Was wollen wir? Tell them your number. Don't tell them your number. Lie. Wir nehmen mal die naive Version, würde ich mal sagen. Tell them your number. Promise not to tell anyone. Anyone else, right?
Of course.
Boah, Drakes wieder mit dem Easy Betray. Mein Nummer ist 5.
Ah, I see.
Ja, und sie sagen ihre Nummern einfach nicht.
We can't help you out, I'm afraid.
That's too bad. Thanks for asking in any case. Well, I better go find Melody. Ready or not, here I come. Sora gave me a warm smile. Oh boy. Soon as I turned around, I noticed 2 pink pigtails sticking out of a nearby flower bush. It seemed that Melody had forgotten to take her hair into account while hiding. I feigned ignorance and searched for a few minutes just to make her happy. Where's Melody gone? I can't find her anywhere. Melody? Melody? Where are you? The mulberry bush giggled as I walked by it. Found you! I gave Melody a soft pat on the head. Oh, head pats! As she squealed and ran back to her parents. I didn't know it was possible for someone to have that much energy. I trudged back to the picnic spot, trailing far behind her. She'd really worn me out. Vladimir and Sora had already packed everything up. the picnic blanket thrown unceremoniously over Vladimir's sturdy shoulders. Wenn wir Leih genommen hätten, was wäre dann eigentlich gewesen, wenn er da aus Versehen gesagt eine Nummer genommen hätte, die einen von den beiden hätten? Boah, das wäre awkward.
All right, Melody. That's all for today. Time to go home.
I want to keep playing.
Listen to your mother, dear. She said we're going, so we're going.
Also bestimmt Nummer erzählen ist bestimmt vielleicht so die... ist bestimmt so die Route, wo wir sterben oder so. She huffed, sulking response to her mother's decree.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us today. It means a lot to us.
Wobei wir haben jetzt 4 Tage. Bestimmt wird jeden Tag eine Personengruppe oder so für uns vorgestellt. Sora pulled me into an unexpected beer hug. It was surprising but welcome. She squeezed me tightly before pulling away. Her hands were planted firmly on my shoulders as she looked me right in the eye.
If there's anything we can do for you, let us know. You're part of the Everett's crew now, and that means your family. Stories about your parents, or spend some time with Melody. Our door is always open to you. You got that?
Oder kann ich mich dann entscheiden, was ich an den Tagen mache? Mal sehen. Got it. Well, I'd better go clean up before dinner. She tapped my shoulders twice encouragingly and then released me.
If you go out this door and turn right, you'll see a doorway covered with some cloth. Those are the baths. If you ever get lost, just call I and she'll sort you out.
Thanks. Although spending the day playing with Melody had been quite soothing, I couldn't help but wonder if I should have spent my time more productively. If I couldn't find people to ally with soon, then I was sure to end up on the chopping block. This was the kind of game that required you to rely on other people to win. Unless you were lucky enough to get the 10 card from the start, that is. But all I had was a measly 5. I needed others to make it work. But how? I was the outsider. Where would anyone place the trust in a complete stranger? Ah, schönes Bad. When I entered the bathroom, it appeared to be empty. Yeah. This is where the fan service happens.
Hello, sailor.
Oh, no. A voice whispered in my ear from behind. I jumped forward, startled, and had to steady myself on a nearby wall. Beatrix, you scared me half to death. I didn't hear you come in. That's what she said.
Truth be told, I followed you in. I guess that makes me a stalker. Do you like that?
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
You can make up your mind later. In any case, after you finish here, would you be a dear and come to the medical bay? I would love to spend some quality time with you.
She emphasized the last sentence by dragging her eyes languidly over my body. Ich werde hier rumgesimmt. What about dinner? Don't have much time before it starts.
Don't worry, I'll take care of you. This isn't a meeting you want to miss.
Alright, let me clean up and I'll be right there.
I'll be waiting for you.
Beatrix's curious request to meet swirled through my head as I left the shampoo in my hair, still grim with sweat from today's exertions. I decided to go see what she wanted and wrapped up my shower as quickly as possible. I toweled myself off, dressed, and found my way to the medical bay with A's help.
Good afternoon. It's good to see you up and about.
It's nice to finally be able to stretch my legs, not to mention leave my sleeping quarters.
I imagine it would be.
I'm supposed to be meeting Beatrix here. Is she around?
Enough chit-chat, Nicholas.
Apparently so.
I spun around, realizing that Beatrix had been here the whole time, concealed by medical equipment from her vantage point in the corner of the room.
I asked you to come here for a reason.
And what reason would that be?
We'd like you to share information with us about the deletion game, if you're willing.
In this game, information is power. So we're going to offer you a deal. 2 for 1. We tell you our numbers if you tell us yours. It's a simple information swap, but you must be honest.
Why me?
We feel a certain duty of care. You were unconscious most of the time, but Beatrix and I didn't leave your side for 4 whole days. By the end of your stay, we felt close to you.
Das klingt ein bisschen creepy. Regardless of whether the twins were being honest about the reason of helping me, the fact was I had to start trusting someone at some point. Boah, allen Vertrauen ist bestimmt so die komplette Selbstmordroute. Lying or refusing to give information would only result in missing out on allying myself with the people I needed to. There was no other choice. It was do or die time. Okay, an information swap then.
After you.
Oh no, it's too easy for you to go back on your word. You go first, I go next, and then Nicholas can go last. How's that?
Very well. My number is 2.
So, Nicholas, bist du dann Nummer 4? I've got okay. Ich habe also keine Entscheidung hier.
That's wonderful. I have a 3. If we combine all of our numbers, we make 10 and are safe.
So, hätten sie jetzt einen Grund darüber zu lügen? Nee. Sie wollen ja auch einen 10 zusammenkriegen. Okay.
What do you think? Will you team up with us?
Ah, jetzt darf ich. Na komm. Ich will mal sehen, wo das hinführt.
Excellent. So, in 2 days we will all combine our numbers. In the meantime, do not divulge your number to any other crew member under any circumstances.
Oh.
In any case, I believe that Beatrix promised you dinner. So now that we've finished our business, let's move on to something more enjoyable.
Nicholas brought out a plate of roast beef and vegetables laced with gravy. Roast beef? I had some for lunch today. Not that I mind.
Our chef is a stickler to keeping to our allotted rations. Any meat he cooks is eaten at every meal except for breakfast until it's gone so that it stays fresh.
Logically, it makes sense. But one can't help but lament on their palate's behalf every now and then.
3 of us shared a comfortable meal. I was shamelessly flirted at by both twins, and occasionally I flirted back. Get a room, you 3 guys. The time flew by, and before I knew it, I found myself yawning into my hand.
Bedtime, I think.
If your quarters are too far away, you can always share mine, you know.
Wow. Think Amanda's thanks. Exhausted from the past day's activities, I shuffled down the hall to my room and rolled into bed. The tension I felt earlier had somewhat dissipated, replaced with a serene, calm feeling. Before too long, I fell asleep. I woke multiple times throughout the night. Some part of me still couldn't believe this was actually happening. I couldn't really be fighting for my life, could I? It all seemed so surreal, like part of someone else's vivid nightmare. I was staring up at the ceiling, contemplating my situation, when I heard the door to my quarters open. Startled, I immediately sat up.
It's only me. I'm sorry if I startled you.
Squinted through the dim light. It was difficult to make out a face, but I knew from the voice that it was the captain. I was grateful for the darkness that obscured my disheveled appearance and the tangled mess of blankets strewn across my bed. It certainly would have fallen far short of the captain's exacting standards. Boah, sind hier viele neue Wörter für mich dabei. What time is it?
0430 hours. I'm sorry for the intrusion, but I must speak with you away from the prying eyes of the other crew members.
Viele Crewmembers haben wir eigentlich schon gesehen. Yoshiki, Sora, Vladimir. 6 Leute. 7? Ich glaube, 3 Leute fehlen uns noch. What about?
Skipped dinner last night. Is it safe to assume you were together?
Yes.
What did they want?
Not that it's any of your business, but I asked to swap information for the deletion game.
And did you? Swap information?
It's none of your concern.
Even so, I just want you to be careful. I may not know you very well, but you should be aware that they probably aren't being completely honest with you. The Vogels are not to be trusted.
I'll decide that for myself.
Very well. But if you do decide to trust them, then you should be on your guard. You wouldn't want to wind up dead because you trusted the wrong person.
I
must go. If you need to speak with me again, ensure that it's after hours. I'll tell I to make my quarters available to you, should you wish to visit.
Thank you.
Now go back to sleep. You still have a few hours before breakfast.
Before I could blink, the captain had disappeared from my room, leaving me alone with my thoughts once more. Oh sure, sleeps, she says. How could I possibly sleep knowing that the Vogels' offer might be nothing more than an elaborate ruse? Aber was würden Sie davon gerade... Was würde Ihnen das bringen, zu lügen? I thought I was all set, that everything would be fine now, that I had other people to work with. How hopelessly naive of me. So, yes. Nein, ich wollte... Einmal kurz saven. Und weiter. After a few hours of restless sleep and some horrible dreams involving chewing my own teeth and insects crawling out of my... Junge! Crawling out of my ears, it was finally close enough to breakfast for me to get out of bed. The day held nothing but anxiety for me. Today was the last day before the deletion game actually took place. For all I knew, I could be the one fated to die tomorrow. I walked down the corridors of the ship, gazing at the stars through the windows as I made my way to the dining hall, checking the map of my personal tablet every now and then to ensure I was on the right path. Ah. Okay. Switch to girl. Okay, das ist schon mal die Timeline. Das ist schon mal interessant. Also ich glaube, auf der Steam-Seite war angegeben, dass es bis zu 30 Enden geben kann. Bin mal gespannt. So, was ist das? Oh. The crew's final meshes can be heard and read here. Oh. It looks like I will not be home for the new year. My thoughts remain with you all. Be well and take care of each other until your next meeting. Also please tell that crew at Starbase 16 that those microfissures in the hull were something to worry about. Okay, das sollten wir uns dann auch mal wohl ein bisschen angucken. Aber jetzt nicht jetzt. Exit Computer Screen. Für uns nur alleine stehen. Ah, so. I walked down the corridors of the ship, gazing at the stars, checking the map on my personal tablet every now and then to ensure I was on the right path. Suddenly, a pair of hands seized me from behind, grabbing me around the waist and hauling me backwards into an unknown room. For 20. As soon as I was released, I spun around tranquilly to face my attacker. Ah. Das heißt, wir haben jetzt 9 Leute gesehen? Ich glaube, es fehlt jetzt nur noch einer. A man and a young woman stood before me, enigmatic smiles painted on their faces. Standing there with their hands on their backpack straps, the girl with vivid blue hair... Blue? Ja, so ein bisschen. seemed particularly proud of her handiwork. None of this seemed quite as pressing as the gleaming knife that the man held in his hand. He took a few steps towards me.
I see our guest has arrived at last.
Katashi. Unser Gärtner. What do you want from me? The man advanced closer. I shrank back in fear as he flipped out the knife with a practiced hand. After a few tense moments, he offered me the knife handle.
Care to do the honors?
I'm sorry. What? Hat die da ein Einhorn auf dem Rücken? Ich weiß jetzt nicht genau, ob ich hier irgendwie Dings wegkriege, die Textboxen, aber... Stimmt, da sieht man ein Einhorn. Gutes Auge.
Katashi made lemon tart.
Tart au citron, actually.
Eigentlich jeder von denen Nationalität? Ist das der Franzose? Und der Katashi?
They're the same thing.
Komm, du bist Geweihfutter, oder?
I usually don't encourage the crew to eat sweets before breakfast, but I think we can make an exception on this particular occasion. Please, sit.
Katashi pulled out a chair at a nearby table and gestured for me to sit down. Once I've taken my seat, Katashi carefully slid the plate of lemon tart towards me. Slid. The pastry was a lovely golden brown, and the lemon custard center had a gentle wobble to it. I gingerly cut 3 small pieces before handing the knife back to him.
You don't want more? Katashi's a really good cook, you know.
That's plenty big enough. You wouldn't want to spoil your appetite before breakfast, would you?
Na, aber auf dem Tisch liegt ein Donut, oder? Ja. Katashi quickly plated the pieces and handed out forks with the air of an accomplished chef. Fork in hand, Shizuka began to scarf hers down with great enthusiasm. Hat sie überhaupt unseren Namen? Hat sie ihren Namen gesagt?
I thought that something sweet might help soften the blow of our little kidnapping here.
Certainly helps. Im Kaname Date, by the way.
The name's Katashi Ikari. I'm the Everett's agricultural engineer.
Also sowas wie unser Gärtner.
Hello, my name's Shizuka.
Nicht mit vollem Mund reden. I'm sorry. The young woman had a mouthful of lemon tart and seemed preoccupied with trying to steal Katashi's portion off of his plate while he was distracted. Katashi deflected Shizuka's sneak attack without missing a beat.
This hot mess is Shizuka Himura, the linguistics officer, but she also handles navigation duties from time to time.
So unser Übersetzer.
We understand that you've been forced to participate in this round of the deletion game, so we wanted to propose an alliance of sorts.
Boah, alle wollen unsere 5.
We want to win this game, but to do that, we need allies.
Well aware of that, but what makes you think our numbers are compatible?
That's easy. I already know your number is 5.
Oh. Oh, shit. Dann sind die beiden bestimmt 1 und 4. How did you know?
Lucky guess.
What? So you really didn't know?
Nope.
Wow. Jetzt sieht man auch besser, das Einhorn... Oh. Boah. Wir wurden einfach komplett outplayed. 200 IQ.
Ignore her antics. What we really brought you here to talk about was the game itself. Everyone's so preoccupied with finding a partner that no one's really looking at the bigger picture here.
Auch wieder schönes Pautgesicht.
There's a better way to determine the loser. As a group.
Oh. Also er will einen demokratischen Vote machen, oder wie? What do you have in mind?
There's 10 cards, right? If we all came out and told each other our numbers, we could directly influence the results.
Es wird halt trotzdem einen Verlierer geben. Aber ja, wird's immer geben.
1 would pair up with 9, 2 with 8, 3 with 7, and 4 with 6. Then whoever was left with a 5 would be eliminated, right?
Tja. Scheiße für uns.
We need to work as a team, the whole damn crew. This game isn't just affecting us. It's affecting the chances of every human being who's relying on us to finish this mission. Shizuka and I think our best option is to vote as a group on who we think contributes the least to the overall mission.
Boah, das ist zwar logisch, aber es ist, wow. Es ist halt schon eine harte Entscheidung, zu sagen, wen man opfern will von der Gruppe.
The person chosen for elimination would be expected to voluntarily trade their card with another player, finishing the round with a 5. With everything out in the open, there'd be no need to backstab each other.
But the person with the 5 card would still die.
Maybe so, but I've already tried working the numbers from every angle. There are no loopholes, no cheats that would allow us to all move on. Trust me, I've looked.
Es gibt, glaube ich, wirklich, also aus unserer Sicht gibt es wirklich kein Loophole. Karte wegtraden, hat man keine mehr. Tauschen bringt auch nichts.
The best we can do now is decide as a crew who should be sacrificed.
Scheiß drauf, erstmal irgendwie den Captain wegbringen oder so.
I hate what this game has turned us into. We all used to be such good friends.
We're going to propose our idea at breakfast this morning, and the more supporters we can get, the better. We know that the captain is willing to support us. Now it's just a matter of convincing everybody else. You don't need to give us your answer now. Just think it over.
I will.
Worst case scenario, if we can't get the crew to agree with us, then we'll team up with you. Katashi has 2 and I have 3.
Wow. Fickt euch doch alle. Ja, ja. Sagen sie alle, dass sie 2 und 3 haben. Oh. I see. But Beatrix and Nicholas had told me they had 2 and 3 as well. Someone was lying here and I didn't have a lot of time to figure out who.
Alright then. We should start heading over to the dining hall before anyone notices our absence and begins to get suspicious.
I followed behind Katashi and Shizuka in a daze. As we made our way to the dining hall, I still wasn't sure what I was going to do. Once again, I found myself lost in thought. On the one hand, Nicholas and Beatrix had told me they had a combined total of 5. If they were telling the truth, I'd be safe if I teamed up with them. On the other hand, Shizuka and Katashi claimed they could make 5 using those exact same numbers, throwing doubt on both parties' proposals. And what about the captain's assertion that the Vogels weren't trustworthy? She'd known them much longer than I had. Then again, she might be lying too. If I supported Katashi and Shikusa's ideas to vote on who should be deleted, then there was a chance that they would vote against me, declaring me the least useful crew member. I'd only just gotten here and they had been fine for 2 decades without me. There was no way they'd consider me essential personnel. If we voted as a group, however, I could at least make a case for why I shouldn't be killed. I was young, smart, never given enough time, und gut aussehend. Und dünn. Maybe they would let me stand and Maybe they would let me stay and prove myself. It would certainly be a lot fairer than leaving it to chance or skill at some stupid party game. I jerked at the unexpected sensation of a hand on my shoulder.
We're here.
I've been staring at the floor, rooted to the spot in front of the dining hall. Right. Thanks. Katashi, Shizuka and I made our way inside. Everyone was already helping themselves to a buffet of muesli. Gibt's das ins Englischen? Muesli? Fresh fruit and porridge. Grabbed a bowl of banana and muesli with some chilled milk and sat down in one of the empty seats next to Sora.
Good morning. Sleep well.
Fine, thanks. I wasn't really in the mood for pleasantries, so I returned to my muesli. Sora seemed content to leave me into my thoughts. By and by, the table was filled with empty bowls and fruit treats. Amid the idle breakfast chatter, the captain rose to her feet at the head of the table to address my group. A sudden hush fell over the room as all eyes turned towards her.
No doubt many of you are anxious. There's little I can do to put those feelings at ease. All I ask is that you treat each other with respect, as fellow crew members of the Everett. We are the best humanity has to offer, and as such, we must hold ourselves to higher standards. The deletion game is brutish, but that doesn't mean that we have to be. Fight fairly, play honorably, and have faith that we will overcome these trials.
Ihr Voice Actorin kommt mir irgendwie sogar fast bekannt vor. Das glaube ich mal später gucken, ob man da schon Informationen dazu hat.
Captain, may I speak freely?
Please.
As the captain said, we are the Everett's crew. We must remember that we have a greater purpose here.
To find a new home for humankind.
We have a duty to the human race to see our mission through. And to do that, we need to make sure we have the crew that is best qualified for the job. Shizuka has created a strategy that allows us to vote on the loser of the game.
It's pretty simple, really. First, we discuss and vote on who should be eliminated. Then that person must swap cards with number 5.
Es könnte sogar immer noch in die Hose gehen. Wenn da immer noch die Leute lügen würden.
Everyone else would then pair up with their corresponding numbers to make 10. 1 with 9, 2 with 8, and 4 with 6.
If we agree to this plan, everyone would need to be involved in the discussion, and be willing to sacrifice themselves in the event that they lost the vote. It's certainly not a perfect plan, and at the end of the day, we'd still be sentencing someone to death, regardless of how we arrived at that decision. But it would get the job done.
Ob man es auch schaffen könnte, dass er einfach rausgevotet wird. Das wäre schon peinlich für ihn.
That's ludicrous. Why would anyone ever choose to cooperate if they lost?
Is this even allowed? Wouldn't Dai protest?
I do not believe that this plan contradicts any of the game's rules. The rules of Make 10 do not prevent disclosure of numbers or coordinated pairings.
I'd rather not. Nicholas and I are doing perfectly fine on our own. Don't think you can drag us into your petty little scheme. We see right through it. You're just trying to expose everyone's numbers so that you can screw them over.
I have to agree with my sister on this one. We'd also be putting ourselves at considerable risk, given the fact that we are the only profession on board that has 2 officers.
Ja, könnten einen rausvoten.
Everyone here is important. There's no way I could ever choose between my friends.
Von allen im Yoshiki. Yeah, sporty idea. And the only way to make sure someone important to the mission doesn't get killed.
A person's worth isn't so easily measured.
Someone's going to die regardless. If that person's skills are vital to the mission, and humanity's hopes die with them, this mission is bigger than any one of us.
The thought is appreciated, Shizuka, but it seems as though the majority of the crew is against the idea. We will continue playing the deletion game as we have been until now.
Tja. Hat doch nicht geklappt.
Dismissed.
Was still exhausted from yesterday's investigation, not to mention the mental strain of not knowing whether I would live or die tomorrow. Only a few days in, the deletion game had already begun to take its toll. I collapsed on my bed, fully clothed. What the hell was I going to do tomorrow? Could I trust the Vogels to stay true to their word? Would I be safer going with Katashi and Shizuka? There was little I could do but wait for tomorrow. Unless... Captain's kind offer from this morning suddenly came to mind. I wondered whether I should turn in early to clear my head for tomorrow, or whether I should head over to the captain's quarters for a council. Come. If anyone could help me, it was the captain. When she visited me earlier this morning, she had a gentleness about her that I hadn't seen before. For whatever reason, she genuinely seemed to want to keep me safe. It can't do any harm. Oh, kommt jetzt schon Fanservice. I swung out of bed, exited my quarters and moved quickly down the corridor. I didn't particularly want to be seen visiting the captain at this hour. Might suggest something untoward. Reaching her door, I buzzed her intercom.
Come in.
The captain's room had the same basic layout as mine, but hers looked much more comfortable. It had a distinct lift and feel, whereas mine still looked real, the room of a stranger. The captain was sitting on the sofa, reading something on a digital display. She folded the tablet shut on her lap as I approached and sat down next to her.
I'm glad you came over.
I needed to talk to somebody. I don't know what to do.
This hasn't been an easy situation for any of us. In some ways, you have it the easiest. The person you see die tomorrow hasn't been your friend for a lifetime.
True, but then again, I never get a chance to know them at all.
It's hard to know which is worse. Was there something you wanted to talk about?
Komm, sag uns was zum Deletion Game. When you came to visit me this morning, why did you decide to tell me what the Vogels weren't trustworthy?
I wanted you to know what you were getting into. Nicholas and Beatrix love each other very much. There's almost nothing they wouldn't do in order to protect themselves, even if that meant betraying someone else.
Told me that they wanted to partner up with me. What possible motivation could they have for lying?
You're looking at it wrong. The aim of the game isn't to win. It's simply not to lose.
But what if they aren't lying?
That very well may be the case.
Guess all we can do is wait until tomorrow to find out.
The waiting is always the hardest part. Being unable to help the crew is incredibly frustrating. All I can do is wait until one of the people I've pledged my life to protect is butchered in front of me.
Pleasant silence fell between us for a minute. Well, I'd better get going. Thanks for talking with me.
My door is always open.
Good night, Captain.
Good night.
Left the captain's quarters in days, arriving back at my room in what seemed like seconds. Oh, ach, die hatte noch was zum Stricken da. Huh. My body felt like it was an autopilot, moving of its own volition, as my mind wandered. Finally reaching my quarters, I slipped into bed and went right to sleep.
Bing bong, bing bong. It's time for all competitors to wake up.
Oh nein, es ist Monokuma. Der Song klingt sogar... Der klingt ein bisschen wie nach... was vom Danganronpa Soundtrack. Alright, alright. I'm awake already.
Bing bong, it's time for all competitors to wake up.
Do I turn you off? How do I turn you on?
Well, if you must know, disassembled computer parts put me right out of the mood. Whips and leather, on the other hand.
Ach, Weeps sind so horny. That's not a meant, and you know it, die. How do I turn the alarm off?
The magic word is banana.
Banana. Banana. Banana.
Command accepted. Alarm shutting off.
Die trollt ist auch so hart. I did a poor impression of a robot, bending her arms and moving them up and down in a stilted fashion. Her impression was emphatically concluded by her impression of shutting down, completed with a crooked neck and her left arm swaying at the elbow. It looked at the old-fashioned dance move my father would have pulled off. That is to say, it was a poor show. Are you done?
Good morning.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's that time again, folks. Fighting for your life has never been so much fun.
Come join us in the dining hall. The second round of the deletion game is about to begin. I'll be there in a moment. Now please leave me alone.
You're pretty grumpy in the morning, you know that? Has anyone ever told you that you're not much of a morning person?
Also, das konnten wohl nur meine Eltern sagen. I huffed audible and then zapped out of the room. I quickly made my way to the dining hall only to find that everyone else had already assembled.
Here's the slowpoke. You sure took your sweet time, didn't ya? Now that everyone's here, let the fun begin.
Dice exclamation, the surface of the dining table was overlaid with 4 holographic terminals, one on each side of the table. We were all gathered close to a nearby terminal to have a look. The one before me had 2 distinct areas. On the left was a blank card, and the right-hand side of the terminal was dominated by the outline of a hand.
From this point onwards, transactions will take place in the dining hall.
Parties involved in a transaction must be declared to me before entering the room, and only those involved in the transaction may enter this room. Any attempt to force your way in or otherwise interfere with the transaction will result in instant elimination. Once players have entered the dining hall, they must choose who will control the transaction by using the primary terminal. The primary terminal is the one in front of the phallic statue.
Wow.
Come on over and have a look.
We all made our way to the primary terminal to verify Day's information. She wasn't lying. On the left-hand side of the primary terminal contained an additional section with 3 choices labeled: combine, trade, give.
To use a terminal, you must place your hand on the holographic screen. Once your handprint has been verified, your card number will appear on screen. If you have 2 cards, both will appear. The person at the primary terminal must then choose which transaction they wish to perform. The players stationed at passive terminals can see which action is chosen, but are unable to see the card numbers of other players participating in the transaction. Results of a combined transaction will not be known until judgment phase. The only information that will be displayed is who you have combined with and the total score. Results of a trade or give transaction will be noticeable during any following transaction, as your card number or amount will have either increased or decreased. In order to make sure that no one can see your card while you are transacting, each terminal has thick holographic walls.
Aha.
No one can know your card number unless you tell them. After all, half of the fun has been watching all of you lie to each other. I am available outside of the dining hall at any time should you need me to repeat these instructions or answer any other questions you may have. You have 1 hour to complete your transactions.
Oh boy, jetzt kommt's.
I wish you all the best of luck. Now clear out. It's time to get the show on the road.
They ushered out into the hallway. Suddenly, all pretense fell away as Alliance grouped together publicly to finalize their strategies. Kimiko and Yoshiki, Nicholas and Beatrice, Shizuka and Katashi, Vladimir, Sora and Melody. There was I, standing alone. I needed to decide who I was going to pair up with, and fast. The group stood in staggered clusters down the length of the hallway, all keeping a watchful eye on the door to the dining hall. None seemed willing to make the first move. Abruptly, Kimiko and Yoshiki broke off from the others and approached the hologram guiding the dining hall.
Yoshiki and I would like to use a transaction terminals die.
Very well. This way, please.
As soon as the 2 of them entered the dining hall, the door slid shut behind them. The audible click of the door's locking mechanism conveyed a clear message to the rest of the crew. We were not to enter under any circumstances. Everyone else was trying to finish the arrangement as quickly as possible. The longer you waited in this game, the more likely the other players were to partner up or swap with someone else. It was the moment of truth. I decided to... Wupp. Oh, guck mal. Sind wir das? So, an der Stelle kann man ja schon mal speichern. Save, ja. Ach komm. Nummer 4. Sacrifices. So, ich will nach der Entscheidung... Komm, gehen wir die Suicide Road. Slowing down when yet I've been so preoccupied with all the petty squabbling and the uncertainty over whether or not I would trust the right person that I never considered alternative possibilities. No matter how hard I tried, no matter what I did, I knew in my heart that I would never truly fit under Everett. Oh boy. These people had years of history together. All I had were rusty social skills and a fragile hope that they would accept me. A hope that was crumbling with every passing minute. I was not one of them. The very glances in the hall, the way that their voices fell into a hush when I drew near. I felt a keen edge in my heart as I realized that these people, these strangers, would never be able to fill the void inside me that begged for companionship and closeness. It would be better for everyone if I just ended it now. Oh, what have I done? Sacrificing myself would give them another week of peace. I would be neither missed nor mourned. Better me than someone that actually mattered, right? Oh, this is hartes Foreshadowing bestimmt. I needed help from someone in order to complete my plan. approached the only person who I thought would understand, Sora, the navigation officer. Vladimir and Sora stood huddled around a wide-eyed Melody, cushioning her from surrounding chaos. She smiled as I approached the circle with a little wave of my hand. Hello?
Hello. Melody, say hello.
Hello.
Hey Melody, is there any chance I could steal your mom for a moment? I could use some advice about this whole situation.
Of course. It must be difficult for you, not really knowing anyone here.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd like to talk about. Sora and I walked a little way down the hall, far enough away from the others that we could speak freely without fear of being overheard.
What's on your mind?
I hate to ask, but I need you to do me a favor. Please, you're the only one on this whole ship that I trust.
What do you need me to do?
Took a deep breath to calm myself before replying. I need you to give my card.
What? Why would you do that?
Saw a sharp exclamation and panic expression drew the scrutiny of everyone in the hallway. Vladimir looked particularly concerned. Sora repeated her question, this time in a whisper.
Give them time. They'll come around.
Oh, da haben wir einen der Bug. Was, falls nicht so schnell rüberkommen? What? Why would you do that? Because I don't belong here. I've never felt so alone in my entire life. No one here will ever accept me. I don't want to live my life as an outsider.
Okay. I'll help. I wish it didn't have to be this way.
It's not just that. I'm the cause of this whole ridiculous game to begin with. This is my fault, so I should be the one to pay the price. I know that my death probably won't stop the deletion game, but at the very least I can try to atone for the pain I've caused. Please, I'm begging you. Let me do this.
Vladimir knows that I have no reason to go in, and I don't want to worry him.
Okay. Just give me a moment to get rid of the old Rusky so we can go in unseen.
There. All done.
So rejoined her family, pointed down the hallway and gave her husband a kiss on the cheek. Vladimir bent down to allow Melody to climb up onto his shoulders. From her perch atop her dad's shoulders, Melody reached up and touched the ceiling as the two of them headed off down the hallway.
Let's do it before they get back.
Das ist jetzt schon ein bisschen nervig.
Di, we wish to use the tram. No, there's also a take button here. I'd rather not give you control over the primary terminal in case you try to steal my card from me.
You have 10 minutes to complete the transaction, at which time you will be forcibly removed from the dining room.
Into the room, Sora moved to the primary tower. Yeah, jetzt kommt es. I have to be at the primary terminal to give you my card.
Could we hurry this up? I want to get out of here before Vladimir knows.
Okay, that's fine then. I didn't realize there was a take button. Placed my hand down on one of the other terminals, all the while raking my brain, trying to recall Day's explanation of the primary terminal.
I gave you my card.
Sorry. Oh. The sensation of placing my hand on something that wasn't physical there felt very surreal. Been expecting to feel a slight electrical vibration when I placed my palm against its surface, but there was nothing. The terminal beeped as my handprint was verified as my own. The terminal changed to display my name and card number, a lonely 5. On my screen I saw the word GIF light up. What are you doing?
Congratulations! Your transaction has been completed. Judgment will occur in 12 minutes. Thank you for participating in the deletion game.
What did you do? Sora gave me a sweet, sad smile.
I lied. There is no take button. I'm actually surprised you fell for that. After all, your parents were geniuses.
I gave you my... What? Why? Das war der Fehler. Dass Voicelens einmal zu früh kommen. Und das war halt schon ein bisschen leider kaputt.
You listen here. I may not know you all that well, but I did know your parents. They were the most brilliant people I've ever met. And I've met a lot more people than you.
Why the hell would you give me your card? I wanted to sacrifice myself. Don't you understand? This was my chance for redemption. Sora whipped around.
If you're even half as smart as they were, you're the key to ending this nightmare. Don't you dare give me that nonsense, young man. If you really, truly believe that this is your fault, then you have a duty to do everything in your power to stop it.
I can't. This is all my fault. You should have let me die.
Don't you dare give me that nonsense, young man. If you really, truly believe that this is your fault, then you have a duty to do everything in your power to stop it.
Oh, hoffentlich hat es sich jetzt gefangen. Sora paused, her face softening into a compassionate smile.
Your life is only just starting. You have so much more to offer this ship, this mission, more than you could possibly realize.
Boy, wir nehmen dem Kind jetzt die Mutter weg. Scheiße.
I owe it to your parents to give you that opportunity. And I owe it to my daughter
Oh,
to give her the
scheiße.
best chance of survival. I make this sacrifice in exchange for a promise. Save her. Save my daughter from this hell. Please.
So, wir sind aus dem Prolog raus. So restrained a sob.
Please. Please.
Promise to do everything in my power to save her. Tears welled up in Sora's eyes at my word. In that moment, I finally realized my purpose aboard the Everett. I had to stop this depraved game at any cost.
Thank you.
Sora closed the distance between us and wrapped her arms around me in a fierce hug. She buried her head in my shoulder, whispering thank you all the while. There were no words that could properly express my gratitude to her at that moment, so I wordlessly hugged her back just as tightly. Sora squeezed me one last time before letting go. She paused for a moment to wipe her eyes and took a deep breath to compose herself before heading back out. Having done so, she strode through the dining hall door with as much of her usual cheerfulness as she could muster. Oh, Vladimir wird uns sowas von hassen in dieser Timeline.
Extra, extra! Bee Sharp sing on rooftop! I mean, attention, attention! This round of the deletion game has come to an end. All participants are to meet in the dining room at once.
Boah, uns wird keiner mögen. The leise voice thundered throughout the ship. I froze, and the moment we've all been dreading had finally arrived.
You'd all better hurry. I'm not going to wait to announce the results, you know.
What is rank private? Status online. You'd all better hurry. I closed my eyes, inhaled and exhaled deeply. I was as ready as I was ever going to be.
It's judgment time, everyone! If you'll all take a look up here, I've created a handy holographic scoreboard for your viewing convenience. You can thank me later. In a minute, this board will display everyone's final results. Keep in mind, the numbers of each individual player in a group will not be displayed, only their combined scores. After all, what's done is done.
My heart was pounding so hard against the inside of my chest that it threatened to burst into pieces at any moment. Shallow, rapid breaths were all I could muster as I clenched my eyes shut, horrified to see my fate sealed in glowing letters and numbers.
Ooh, I'm just so excited for you all to find out the results. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
What is the meaning of this, Die? You got our scores wrong. Why else would my wife have 0? Tell me this instant.
Okay, die Grafik war schnell weg. Hä? Das ist ein Enter Search Command. Ja. Sieht aus wie ein Dead End. Vladimir stormed up to the hologram, demanding an explanation. His once kind face was distorted with rage, a deep crimson color crawling up his neck as he held a string of expletives. A die.
Hush now, love. Let me explain.
Mommy, what's going on? Why is Daddy yelling?
Ich habe ja vorher gesagt, ich hätte ein Gameplay-Video angeguckt, um so ein bisschen, also nur ein bisschen durchgeskippt und so. Und das war wohl auch gerade die rote Sora in der ersten Runde gestorben ist.
Everything's fine, sweetheart.
Oh boy.
Oh God, this can't be happening. Not again. I won't let you take the person I love away from me. You'll have to take me apart piece by piece before I let you touch a hair on this woman's head.
How dare you accuse me of cheating? You must play by the rules, human, and so must I.
It's not wrong, Vladimir. Please, honey, don't do this in front of Melody.
Who did this? Did one of you trick her into doing this? I can't strangle the hologram, but I can still bloody well strangle one of you lot.
Vladimir whipped around the room like a hurricane, threatening pain to everyone in the room.
Vladimir, stop, please.
Please don't tell me this is true. This can't be true. I can't lose you.
All eyes were fixed on Vladimir, his fury gradually subsiding under the soothing influence of Sora's calming voice and tender caress.
I'm so sorry.
Why?
His voice quivered, cracking slightly. It was a hurt voice, the voice of a broken man.
Why would you do this to me? To Melody?
I did this for you. For Melody. And for what's left of the human race. When we signed up for this mission, all those many years ago, we agreed that we would do whatever it took for this mission to succeed. After what happened to Charles, to your wife Amanda, to our friends, I never thought I'd be able to recover.
Oh, information dump. Oder neue Plot threads.
Then one day, you made me the worst lamington I'd ever eaten. And then, all at once, I saw you clearly.
Lamington? Was ist das denn?
Between the late night poker sessions and you letting me steal your chocolate rations, I realized that I loved you. And that I loved you for some time. But that doesn't change the mission.
I don't care about the mission.
Yes, you do. That's just the disbelief talking. You know that we still have a duty to this ship. That this is bigger than you or I. That's why I did it. I'm the most replaceable crew member. I've passed on everything I know to Shizuka. But you still have a job to do. Our little Melody. She's going to be a scientist, just like her father. And she'll pass down that knowledge to her children. And they'll do the same to theirs. You're still necessary to this mission, my love.
I can't do this without you. Please, don't do this.
You can. You will. For Melody's sake.
Vladimir wrapped his arms around his wife and hugged her close to him. In the tender embrace, Vladimir conveyed the depth of his love for his wife in a way that transcended all words. He clung to her so closely, so desperately that it was painful to watch. It was impossible to shake the sensation that we were intruding on an intensely personal moment.
Mommy, what's going on?
Sora scooped Melody up in her arms, bringing her to rest up against her hip.
I'm sorry, sweetheart. I have to go away. But Daddy will be here to take care of you and keep you safe.
I don't want you to go.
I know it's going to be difficult, sweetie. But I'm sure that one day you'll understand.
Aw, aren't you guys just the cutest? But that's enough of that. Time is money, people. It's time to spin the wheel of fatality. Woo!
Woo! Woo! With flourish, they conjured a sizable holographic wheel split up into labeled sections. I barely managed to read them all before they passed judgment. Gravity, airlock, oxid O. Gravity, airlock, oxygen, incineration, and spacewalk. Each one sounded more ominous than the last. Within seconds, Dai gave the wheel a hefty spin and the sections of the wheel blurred into one another. My eyes were fixed on the wheel as it gradually slowed. Tick, tick, ticking its way to a standstill as the arrow circled the dial, finally coming to rest on
Incineration. No time like the present. Let's head on down to the furnace room, shall we?
Can't I just have a few more minutes with my family?
No. Move it, sister. Everyone, follow me. As you'll remember from last time, attendance at executions is mandatory for all players participating in the deletion game. Come along now.
I will not allow Melody to watch. I absolutely refuse.
I must agree, Dai. Subjecting a child to the demise of a family member is unbelievably cruel.
Dai spat out her answer through gritted teeth and a plastered-on smile.
Melody is a participant, just like you. I won't bend the rules merely because she's shorter than the rest of you.
She's a child.
She's a member of this crew. Now, feel free to continue arguing with me, but for every second you push the issue, I'll be decreasing the amount of oxygen flowing into this room.
This is low, Dai. Even for you. Fine, we'll do it your way. It seems we have no choice in the matter.
And here I thought a little CO2 poisoning might improve your personality. Maybe next time, Captain?
The march to the furnace room was grueling. I'd never seen a person die before. Like any reasonable person, it wasn't something I ever thought I had to see. My stomach revolted at the prospect, and my mind felt completely numb. Couldn't even imagine what Sora was going through right now. Sora set a slotted place to the furnace room, dragging out the precious time she had left to spend with her family. The sound of Melody's uncontrollable sobbing was the only sound that echoed throughout the bowels of the ship as we delved deeper than I've ever ventured before. Oh boy. As we filed into the furnace room, the ambient temperature rose with every passing step, and I slowly became aware of the gentle cracking of flames. The cavernous room was dominated by the raging fire of the furnace itself, held at bay by a thick pane of reinforced glass. As the last of our group crossed the threshold, the door shut behind us with a resounding thud. Even on the side of the glass, the heat radiating out from the furnace was overwhelming. Although there was a maintenance access panel located on the chute, emerging from the top of the furnace, this occasionally clearly warranted the use of the hinged door cut into the glass.
Here we are, Sora, for losing round 2 of the deletion game. You've been sentenced to death by incineration. I must insist that you enter the furnace immediately. No one goes out until she goes in and gets a little singed.
Over.
Company, fall in.
Everyone except Melody and Vladimir immediately formed a regiment line and raised their hands in the salute position. Tried to mimic the action as best I could.
Navigation Officer Sora Carmine. You have served honorably aboard the Everett, and your many contributions to this mission have been indispensable. Your love and compassion for your fellow crew members have made this ship a better place to live. You will be greatly missed. Company, salute.
The entire line saluted in unison, so the smile was incredibly bittersweet. She stood up straight and meaningfully locked eyes with each of us before returning a salute of her own.
It's been a privilege being able to serve alongside such fine men and women. Godspeed, friends.
Sora,
You don't have to say a word. I already know.
Sora and Vladimir shared a deep, lingering kiss.
Goodbye, my love.
In you go, Sora. Clock's a-ticking.
Sora crouched down face to face with Melody, who was clutching her father's lab coat tight in her fist. Melody's face was lined with tears, which continued to flow freely.
Now, Melody, I need you to do something for me, sweetheart. When I step in there, I need you to close your eyes and not open them, no matter what. Do you understand? Don't open your eyes, sweetie.
Okay.
Listen to your father. Be a good girl. Love without measure. I love you, Melody. You're the light of my life. And I hope that one day you'll understand and be able to forgive me. Always remember that I love you. Always.
Sora hugged her daughter one final time, kissed her on the head, forced a smile and stood up.
I'm ready, Di.
Es passiert alles, weil wir uns selber opfern wollen. Oh, Junge.
About time.
Could feel the searing heat on my skin as Sora opened the door to the furnace and stepped inside, shutting the door behind her. Meine Güte, Alter.
Mommy, don't!
Melody rushes towards the glass, banging her hands against it in desperation, as if it had only just struck her what's about to happen. The blaze licked at Sora's ankles as we bent down and smiled comfortingly.
It's okay, sweetie. Everything will be fine. Close your eyes, honey.
Come back!
Melody stood, dejected. Tears cascaded down her cheeks and onto the floor as she stood watching her mother numbly. The tongues of flame had begun to blacken the navigation officer's uniform, causing violent blistering welts to break out on her exposed skin.
Close your eyes. Melody, close your eyes. Vladimir, make her close her eyes. Please.
Vladimir bent down and forced Melody to turn away from her burning mother's visage. Smoke poured off of Sora's scorching body. Animalistic howls wrecked her body as she shrieked, unable to bear the pain. Animalistic howls wrecked her body as she shrieked, unable to bear the pain any longer.
Melody, honey, look at Daddy. It's okay, honey.
The last thing I saw was Vladimir pulling Melody into a hug, holding her head so that she couldn't turn to look at her mother. His charred skin was starting to slough off from her muscles underneath. Oh boy. Clamped my eyes shut, sickened at the sight of a gruesome death. Even with my eyes shut, my imagination ran riot as a visceral thump reverberated throughout the room. The putrid smell of burning human hair and flesh pushed me over the edge, causing me to gag. Cold air washed in behind me as the doors finally opened. Opened my eyes and scrambled towards the exit as fast as my legs could carry me. We all spread out in the corridor, eager to get some breathing room after the horrific execution we just witnessed. Beatrix and Nicholas held each other for emotional support. Shizuka knelt nearby, her body racked by irregular spasms, holding down the contents of her stomach through sheer force of will. Poor Vladimir. Even though his face remained drawn and his eyes were bright red from crying, he was still doing his best to hold it together for Melody. No matter how hard Vladimir tried to comfort Melody, however, she remained inconsolable, screaming and thrashing in his arms in futile protest against her mother's cruel fate. One by one, we left the two of them alone, unable to endure the sight of our anguish any longer. As we left the area, a voice taunted us through the intercom.
The next round of the deletion game begins in 24 hours. Sweet dreams, everyone!
24 Stunden. Chapter 1. Couldn't sleep. Okay. Geht's hier also doch noch weiter? Switch to girl. So. Ich würde mal sagen, das ist ein guter Punkt, um jetzt mal zu speichern und für heute aufzuhören. So. Ups. Okay. So, gehen wir zurück im Menü. So, Schön. So. Das war also Tag 1 von Quantum Suicide, einem neu releaseden Spiel auf Steam. Es war heute noch im Sale und jetzt kann man es, glaube ich, für 15 Euro auf Steam kaufen. Sieht jetzt schon... Also ist drin, wird mich schon ich werde schon weitermachen. Wir sehen, was so weiter in der Story passiert. Wir haben jetzt leider schon einen kleinen Bug gehabt, aber wenn es nur bei so Kleinigkeiten bleibt. Oder vielleicht wird es in der Zwischenzeit auch noch irgendwann gepatcht. So. Dann würde ich mal für heute